Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new premium French cruiser, the Tier 8 Carnot, or the Carnot. It is the campaign reward, if those of you guys who don't know. If you purchase the Admiralty backing and you finish the campaign, this is your reward. So, with all of that being said, let's take a look at our commander. We're using Andre Lemonnier. I apologize if I say that wrong. French is not my strong suit. Francesco Membelli and Nikolai Kuznetsov as our inspirations. We're running Beyond Range, Igniter, Punch Through, and Fixated with Fully Packed as our skills. For the loadout, we're running Aiming Systems Mod 1. We're running Steering Gears Mod 2. Propulsion mod, actually I lied. Yeah, Steering Gears Mod 2, Steering Gears Mod 3. And then we're running the Gunfire Control System Mod 2, which gives us another little bit of range, as well as Main Battery Dispersion. You could try throwing the Main Battery Mod 3 on if you want. It's going to slow your traverse down on your guns even more. They're already kind of not particularly quick, so keep that in mind. But you might go for the extra DPM, but I didn't use it. I want all the accuracy out of these things. I want to get the most out of each shot. We are running the sonar, and we are running the engine boost. You could swap the engine boost for a fighter or catapult or a spotter plane, and you can swap your sonar for defensive AA if you want, but personally the sonar comes in real handy, and the engine boost is amazing. Italian Unity flag, because reasons. It kind of looks like a Spartan flag, but not really. And then, of course, the camo that comes with the ship. Survivability, 66,450 hit points with a 25% torpedo damage reduction. Artillery, you get 305mm 50 caliber 1930s. You get 2 turrets that are triple turrets, one at the front, one at the rear, and then you have a 305mm 50 caliber MLE 1930 quad turret that's also at the front. Firing range, 19.2 kilometers with this build. Reload time is not good at 23.7 seconds. It's slower than even the Azuma. And then, of course, 180-degree turn time, like I said, is kind of slow, 30 seconds. HE shell maximum damage, 4,250 with a 28% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage is 9,396. Secondary armament, you get 100mm 55 caliber CAD MLE 1945. You get 16 of those, reaching out to 6.3 kilometers and reloading in just 3 seconds. Firing HE with a maximum damage of 1,400 and 8% chance to set fires. Then you have the 139mm 50 caliber MLE 1934. You get 8 of those as well, reaching out to 6.3 kilometers and reloading in 10 seconds. And they fire HE with a maximum damage of 2,011% chance to set fires. So that's one thing I will say I noticed in this ship, was that once I got up into brawling range, the secondaries did start firing. So it was something interesting. It's got extended range secondaries for some reason. I don't recommend going with a secondary build, for God's sakes. AA defense, though, 20mm 70 caliber Mark IVs. You get 13 of them, doing 47 damage per second, reaching out to 2 kilometers. Then you get the 20mm 70 caliber Oerlikon Mark 24s. You get 2 of those, doing 6 damage per second, reaching out to 2 kilometers. Then you get the 40mm 56 caliber Bofors Mark II. You get 48 of those, doing 191 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. And then you get the 100mm 55 caliber CAD MLE 1945 dual purpose secondaries. You get 16 of those, doing 118 damage per second, reaching out to 5 kilometers. Again, the AA is shorter range than the actual secondaries can reach. Secondaries base range 6.3 kilometers. Why is it the AA can't reach 6.3 kilometers for the 100 mil? Let me know. Maneuverability, 34.5 knot maximum speed without the engine boost. When you have the engine boost, I've had this thing up over 41 knots with this build. 870-meter turning circle. It does definitely seem like it doesn't like to turn, but it's actually not that bad. It's kind of shifty when you need it to be. It's kind of like Stalingrad. Like, it'll start turning relatively quick, but it doesn't like to finish the turn. It just kind of sits there for a while, and it gets you into trouble. Rudder shift time, though, we've got it down to 6.9 seconds. Nice. Concealment. You get 13.3 kilometers with this build. You could obviously get rid of one of the steering gears and throw a little bit more concealment on there if you want. Personally, I like to be able to get out the way of the shells occasionally. This thing does not like to take hits at all. 8.3 by air. 2 is always guaranteed. 10.6 kilometer smoke firing penalty. Armor. It's got 25 millimeter bow armor, which means anything 15-inch guns and above can go through it. So keep that in mind. 15-inch guns and above go straight through the bow. Any battleships at this tier basically go straight through the bow. Okay, this is going to protect you against cruisers, but that's about it. All right. There's a couple of 14-inch guns out there, but they're usually firing HE, and it's not going to do any good anyway. So if we get rid of that, and we take a look, you do actually have a turtleback armor scheme, as you can see right there. And it does have, don't count on this turtleback, by the way. This turtleback is deceptive. It's a cruiser turtleback. It doesn't work. Okay? If you get broadside, you get caught, you're going to die. Or you're going to get citadel at minimum. It does have a low citadel, but it still gets caught. You're constantly trying to maneuver to avoid getting hit. This armor is so flat. Like, even though it has decent side armor, like, you can see that it's got a 210 millimeter belt. It's got, like, 30 mil upper plating. It's got decent side armor, but it's so flat that you have to angle perfectly in order to bounce any shells. Otherwise, they're just going straight through. And most of the time, if you're maneuvering, trying to avoid or angle, you're going to get citadeled if you get caught. So keep that in mind. Overview. Fast, above average maximum movement speed. Big guns. The ship is armed with high caliber main battery guns. And powerful AA defense. Above average AA gun firepower. Carnot, a variant of the project of a super heavy cruiser, which was the predecessor of the Dunkirk class ships. She was designed in 1929. There were none of them built. So let's take a look at this thing. The camo is interesting. I gotta admit, like, I don't hate the camo. It's kind of geometric. I kind of like it. The ship itself is, it's okay. It's not a bad ship. The guns are pretty nice, but the armor is terrible. It's so flat. Like, every time you get hit, it's pins. It doesn't have the DPM to keep up with most cruisers unless they're dumb enough to go broadside. The HE potential is there, but personally, the AP is so good, I rarely use the HE in this thing. But with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so you guys know, before we get started, we are on the path to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you enjoy what I do, I post daily content for you guys. I stream multiple times a week, multiple different games. If you guys enjoy that, punch that subscribe button, be a part of the family, come in, be a Spartiate, and we will make a difference eventually. Right now, it's kind of hard. But no, thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. You guys are fantastic. Now, if you guys were part of the live stream yesterday, you guys know that the very first game we put in this thing, we put up 125,000 damage. We got to bully a Pommern. We got to showcase the ship pretty decently in terms of what it's capable of with its AP. We're going to do some more of that in this one. There's a lot of cruisers out there in this one. We're going to try to go over, like, just what I think about this ship. I've had a good chance to play it in quite a few games now. Trying to get that specific game that I want to showcase you guys. You guys know that when I try to do these Meet the Ships videos, I try to get a gun or a game that really showcases the ship rather than try to get, like, massive damage or get, you know, crazy, like, anything. I think this really does showcase the ship. We're going to go straight out here. You notice that the destroyer is already in Charlie. Our destroyer is right there as well. And they're going to spot a couple of cruisers real soon, about the time that we get into a position to see through the islands. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a chance to really shoot, because about the time that we get ready to aim, like, these guys are all going to go bow into us. Not ideal, but we'll take the shot at the Mogami here. Front guns are going to hit the island. The rear guns are going to make it through. But I'm feeling a little anxious here because we haven't got any spotting. We are the spotter, essentially. So I know that a Mogami is no threat. Like, I am not scared of a Mogami at all. As soon as that thing shows me a broadside, I will quickly remove him from the match. It's not scary. Kutuzov, on the other hand, I was like, I'm just going to overpin this. I already know what's going to happen. Didn't quite lead him enough. So one of the things that I will say here is that these things are French. It does have higher velocity shells than you expect. So you don't necessarily have to lead as much as you want, or as much as you'd think, but you still have to lead a little bit more than what I just did. So it's just one of those things. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. You can see Akizuki gets spotted here, so we go ahead and take a shot at him. Again, this is AP, but he is going away from us, so we're going to get some full pins here. 1 full pin, 3 over pins. Decent chunk on him. Then Mogami goes broadside to our battleships. So you can see what that does for him. And then, of course, as soon as we get a chance, we're going to obliterate him. We got 5 seconds, we'll get these guns loaded. Now, the biggest issue that I have with this thing, other than the fact that the armor is not the greatest, is just the DPM. It just doesn't have it. But if you give this thing a broadside, it's going to ruin your day. Now, of course, out of everything that spawns here on my side, the Kansas is here. Punches straight through, knocks one of my guns immediately. Keep an eye on that, because that's the first time he shot us, right? Breaks one of our guns. We got to use our... And this is what I'm talking about with the maneuverability of the ship. It's not bad. It's able to be kind of twitchy when you need it. Palmer's broadside here. We're going to reach out, touch him, and we're going to get into the cap and start flipping the cap. Now, the friendly Akizuki manages to torp their Akizuki, and we do manage to catch this Palmer with a couple of shells, but he's not long for this world. And we're going to get into the cap and start capping the bases. Now, keep this in mind. This is our first cap, right? Now, why aren't we going straight after the Kansas? Also, notice that we know the Kutuzov is here. We see his smoke screen. We know he was still there. So we slow down, use the island as cover, and sure enough, we dodge torpedoes, even without having to see them. And then, of course, as we start to poke our nose around, we're worried that he's got more torpedoes. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to maybe spot him if he fires his guns or something. But he's just around the corner from us, so we can't really. And you'll notice that our battleships are just kind of sitting behind the island over there. That's what I always hate. Like, I hate that. Y'all know this. Y'all know I hate it. And fortunately, he fires a widespread at us. We have all the room in the world to just slip right through. That was a pretty well played torp, other than the fact that it was widespread. But their Kansas is going to go to try to outplay us. He's going to come around and try to do something. Fortunately, I still have the Akizuki here. The Akizuki is going to try to torp him, which is fantastic. I at least have some support. These battleships are not supporting us at all. Like, they are useless. You can see I am measuring these battleships up. Iowa, unfortunately, is starting to turn away, so he's just outside our range. Just on the edge of what we can actually get for our range. Then originally, he's behind the island too. Can't really do anything about him. But the Kansas, you can see Kansas is turning around. He's thinking about coming after us, so we got to keep our eye out on that. We also have the Kutuzov here, who's in a kiting position, and this is not what I necessarily want to do, but I also want to try to catch this guy before he gets away. You know what I'm saying? Before he gets outside of range to the point where he can actually get away. Here, he starts to turn towards us, so I take the opportunity to try to catch him, and we do actually catch him, hitting for a single, or 2 citadels there. So we got 4 shells on target out of the 7 that we sent down range. And 2 of them were citadels, taking the good chunk off of the guy. Obviously, Kansas is on his way. We know it's coming. Fortunately, you can see where the Akizuki is on the map. He's actually going to try to counter that guy. And you can see I'm aiming out ahead of the Kutuzov here, hoping that we can catch this guy. I want to disappear, and you can see I can't because the enemy Richelieu is right there spotting. And I'm worried at this point that I'm going to get a permafire against me because, you know, I have no luck when it comes to fires. You guys know this. But as you can see, Akizuki does drop some torpedoes there on the Kansas, and he is going to score some hits. And I'm feeling pretty confident, I'm not going to lie. I know the Kansas, I know how much firepower that thing has. I don't want to tempt it, but at the same time, I'm feeling pretty good. He's got no health left. He's got like 10k health. He is going to heal a little bit of that back, which is unfortunate. But that just means that once I get out here, I'm going to be able to take a little bit more of his health off. So here, we're going to try to make sure that we come around the corner, get a good shot in. It's going to take him a second to rotate his guns. So we want to make sure we aim high here. Look at him. He's angled away, so we go superstructure. And we're going to chunk him pretty good. And you can see those secondaries immediately hitting. We got 7 shells out of our full broadside to hit the target. And we chunked him pretty good. Unfortunately, he still has about 10k left. And he's going to go through our bow and then he's going to destroy one of our turrets. He knocks both of our front guns out and destroys one of them. And for the rest of the match, we're going to have to deal with a broken gun, or a destroyed turret. Now, obviously, Kutuzov's going full kite mode. I've said this a million times. We don't chase kites, right? But we do actually get a shot on him here. And unfortunately, we missed. So we're going to go ahead and start kiting away. Again, if you chase them, you give them meaning. You give them purpose. If you don't chase them, if you go back towards the rest of the enemy team, then you completely take them out of the fight. They cannot continue to do anything useful out there as long as you don't let them. So here we notice that Kutuzov's kind of turning towards us. We take the shot, and again, this is that nice shell velocity we were talking about. We do catch him again here and take him down to no health left. The guy has no health. So anybody shoots him at this point, he's pretty much toast. So you can see he's struggling to hit us. We've got our engine boost running. You can see this thing's doing over 40 knots. It's solid. It's pretty nasty. Now we're trying to put ourselves in a position to counter this Iowa's push, counter the cruiser's push, and try to go towards the enemy who's in our cap right now. That's our goal. Iowa gets taken out, and that's huge. And that's a big relief for me, because if it's just a couple of cruisers out here, yeah, they out DPM me. But a lot of the cruiser players in this game, they get overzealous and they go broadside. And if you go broadside to this thing, I promise you, you are going to have a bad day. I don't care if you're in a battleship. I don't care if you're in a cruiser. I don't care if you're in a destroyer. If you go broadside to this thing, you will have a bad day. Speaking of, hello, Rune. How you? You know, a little German turtleback armor at 12 kilometers. Bonk. Yep, there's a Citadel. Two of the shells hit him. Fortunately, we still have 3 guns on the front. Unfortunately, they broke the quad turret, I think. I think it's the quad turret that was broke. But you can see the enemy Amalfi's here as well. He's going to get into that smoke screen. Rune is going to go ahead and try to torp me. Like, this is the part where you can see I'm already running the sonar. We already know it's coming, right? Like, we're not stupid. You have to pay attention. I actually used my heal a little early here, but I was a little bit worried that I was going to need it. And boy, did we ever need it later on. Rune is coming in. He's trying to torp us. He's way too overzealous on his torping. We're going to go for superstructure here because he's angled pretty well. And you can see, we see the torps coming. We bait him in. He fires his torps again. This guy only knows how to torp on the white line. He just doesn't have any intuition when it comes to torping. So easy does it. This guy is pushing us, which means he's wide open for the rest of the team. We're easily able to dodge that torpedo, and rather than shoot him, realizing that he's about to die, I go for the enemy Amalfi here, and we clap the crap out of him. Get 2 Citadels on him. He actually hits us, gets the perma-fire, which is unfortunate. But we're in a cruiser. We're not going to have a long-duration fire, so that's fine. It's not the end of the world. They also don't hurt as bad on cruisers anyway. So we're fine, is what I'm saying. And so he's trying to angle away from us, and he's doing a pretty good job. We aim high here, hoping for a little superstructure, maybe upper side plating. Unfortunately, don't really get it. We get a couple of overpins, not a whole lot of damage. Fortunately, he misses that one, which is going to come in real clutch here in a little bit. And then I recognize that he's going to have to turn and go broadside to me, so I sell out. I'm like, okay, we're going full commit here. Go for the entire shot. And then as soon as we get into position, we get the front guns out. Look at those rail guns, man. And clap. 2 Citadels, down he goes. And we have 301 hit points left, which is 300 more than I need to survive. Talk about clutch, man. And that's going to allow us to get a cap. And the best part is it's going to be a solo cap. Because even though the friendlies are going to get into the cap and help us cap it, we end up getting over half the base cap points by ourselves, so we get the solo cap on top of that. So that's going to be a big boost. But again, 121,000 damage. I haven't really... 9 Citadels, by the way. We weren't shooting HE out of this thing. This was AP, and you can see what it's capable of. I personally think that the AP is fantastic in this thing. I love the guns. I just feel like the ship is a bit squishier than I would like at tier 8, and the DPM just isn't there. If it got a little bit of a buff to its DPM, I think it would probably be better. Maybe that just due to my build, I need to go a little bit more heavy on the reload, but we barely get the solo cap in there right as the Kutuzov gets finished off. But we do pull it off. 121,000 damage. Dreadnought, First Blood, top of the leaderboard, 3,000 base XP game. Just a solid game. And this is a solid contender, but it's not exactly what I would choose to take out, all the time. It's not bad, but I would prefer the Azuma, the Alaska, or the Stalingrad. It's kind of in that super cruiser territory where it's kind of meh. Like, at tier 7, the Azuma's really nasty. At legendary tier, those ships are pretty nasty. But this one kind of falls in between and doesn't really do much for me. It's not a bad ship. It's just a little bit meh. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, I will see you in the next video.